Welcome to Feminist Question Time, brought to you by Women's Declaration International, which is the leading global organisation defending women's sex-based rights against the threats posed by gender identity ideology, we think. But there are other organisations available who are doing fantastic, but we're focusing a lot on the global issues. So we think we're well, good. Many of us have been active feminists since the 1970s or even the 60s, and we were not surprised when this new attack on women came along, and we have not changed our analysis. A leading radical feminist thinker, Janice Raymond, wrote The Transsexual Empire in 1979, which many of us read and agree with. And then also there's a lot laid out and written about the issue of men wanting to be male mothers or thinking they're women or wanting to take the credit for what women have done in Mary Daly's Gynecology. So we've read both and we sort of subscribe to both of those views. We just heard that our discussion, our WDI discussion on Janice Raymond's incredibly important book, 1979, The Transsexual Empire, which was discussed by Leah Keith and Marion Rotiliano, has been taken down by YouTube, so it is no longer available on our YouTube channel, which is a bit of a disaster because these insights, these are very, I mean, this is an incredibly important book for our understanding. And it's now not available. It's this silencing of women. So we are going to make it available elsewhere. Luckily, we have copies of all of our everything. And we heard from one of our WDI women that it was labelled as hate speech, but I haven't seen any evidence of that. I don't know exactly what that is. So anyway, that's a big worry, but we will continue the struggle. We wrote in 2018, we wrote a declaration on women's sex-based rights, which lays out our position in the face of this new attack on women. And this declaration has been signed now by 39,573 people from 160 countries and is supported by 547 organizations. So this declaration, if you have not yet read it, is a really good thing to look at. It stood the test of time since 2018, is linked up to the work radical feminists have done defending women's rights for decades. As an organisation, WDI has country contacts in every continent, many country contacts. Do join us and become a volunteer. But there, as you'll see today, there are many other organisations who are doing amazing work, and we're all part of this sort of international sisterhood. So you might find you fit better with one of the other organisations, particularly the ones we've got today. And we aim to collaborate with lots of women's organisations, as many as possible, really. We will put links up to where you can collaborate. This is a women-only webinar. If you're on Zoom right now today, we ask men to watch it later. So if you are a man, you've logged on, could you leave, because we want this to be a women-only space, and watch it later on YouTube. We have subtitles, so you can look at those. Now, just before starting off, I want to say the following. Today, in UK, we have well, on television, it might be in lots of other countries, probably in France, we have the Women's Rugby World Cup. And it's the final, and it's right now. It's 3 p.m. at Twickenham, which is really close to where I am in London. So some women, I think, will be actually watching that, or maybe watching both things at the same time. But this is a massive, massive. Oh, kick off at 4, so you can stay with us for a bit and then watch it from 4. It's a massive victory for us, and well done, all of us. We've all struggled and we won this. You know, not exactly us, but together, to get women's sports for women and rugby for women. So it's a real joy to watch it. Even if you don't normally watch sports, it's fantastic. And it's also, a thing I really like is that there's not huge amounts of performance of extreme femininity in rugby. The women really look as if they are into the sport and they're getting on with building their bodies to be good at the sport rather than to look good for the male gaze. So it's wonderful. And just while I'm on it, I just want to say the New Zealand haka by the women's New Zealand team last week was unbelievably beautiful. It's just awe-inspiring seeing women do the Maori haka with such passion. I'm getting shivers now remembering it. It's just brilliant. So if you get a chance to watch that, I'll see if I can cut it, put it somewhere, make it available for people if you can't see it. Um, I think that's it. So we're going to go on now to introducing who we've got. So today I'm really pleased to say we've got Jane Sullivan and Faye McGinty from Women's Rights Network, and they're going to talk first about their Red Flag campaign. Then we're going to hear from Kate Barker from LGB Alliance, and she's going to talk about there's a topic she's going to talk about, which she'll explain. And then it's fantastic. We're going to hear back from Bano from Afghanistan, and that will be fantastic because there was some sort of problem with somebody hacking into her uh, Twitter or sort of disrupting her fantastic work. And it's really, really good that Yao's with us. So we'll be able to hear from her to find out what's going on and how she is. And she seems brilliant. So it's really good. And we're not showing Yao's face, but it's great. And then we have a couple of news reports. I will put the news reports in. We will put them in if we have time. So our first speakers are Jane Sullivan and Faye McGinty from Women's Rights Network. And thank you so much to both of you for coming on. And I'm just going to pass over to you and hear about your Red Flag campaign. And I suppose I just want to say thank you for the work you've done, because I've met many women who are involved in your network who absolutely appreciate it, the Women's Rights Network. So it's really good. Okay, over to you.
Great, thank you very much for having us, and hello to everybody from around the world. I feel a bit daunted when I saw the list of countries, but it's wonderful to see everybody. I'm just going to get oh my Lord, okay. Bernadette, I might need you to share that file, please. While the file's coming up. I just wanted to say Heather Binning, who is our co-founder, one of the founders of Women's Rights Network, sadly couldn't speak today, so we've stepped in. There are many campaigns that Women's Rights Network is involved in, but we're going to focus on one, which is our Red Flag campaign. Next slide, please. So we were talking about the idea of a campaign around mixed sex changing rooms, and we just came up with the idea for a red flag because it is such a safeguarding no-no to have males in female changing rooms, and so hence the red flag campaign. And one of the things that WRN is known for are street campaigns, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Faye's going to talk a little bit about that later. And when we were out on the streets talking to women about women's rights and sport and all the other things that we talk about, we kept getting comments from women saying, oh, well, I used to go swimming, but then they changed the changing rooms to a family village, you know, a mixed sex changing room. And I don't really like it. So I've stopped going swimming. And we heard it so many times that we thought, well, we need to put some facts and figures on this rather than just go by women's anecdotes. So we started investigating. And we found this Sunday Times article where there'd been 134 complaints of sexual misconduct in sports centres and swimming pools over just 1 year, and 90% occurred in the mixed facilities, which we found rather shocking. Now, these weren't actual crimes that went through to convictions. They were literally just complaints to leisure centres. And then earlier this year, we got wind of an emergency safeguarding meeting at Swim England because girls at competitions were being photographed, filmed, stared at while they're getting changed. So that was a red flag. And then Faye did this massive piece of work, which she will go into in more detail in a minute, doing an FOI, Freedom of Information investigation of leisure centres. And we found that 1/3 of the council swimming pools in the whole country, Great Britain, have only got mixed sex changing areas for swimmers. So women cannot have access to a single sex changing room for swimming. Also, our sports councils that run all sport throughout the four nations, their go-to is mixed sex changing villages because they're cost effective, and we all know that budgets are tight. So absolutely no safeguarding at all, a red flag. Next slide, please. So even the police more recently have started speaking out, and Stevenage, which is a town north of London in Hertfordshire, have a new leisure centre being built, and the crime prevention officer, quite unusually actually for crime prevention officers to make any comment about new premises, I mean, pointed out that there was already voyeurism in the current facilities. It's likely that they'd increase if mixed sex facilities were built. And if they did redesign the facilities, and this was what I thought was quite striking, single sex would demonstrate that the issue of violence towards women and girls has been considered. And I thought that was a really good comment, because quite plainly, the issue of violence until now has not been considered. Next slide, please. So what do? We launched in May, and these are some of the things that we do. Lots of letter writing, lots of speaking to councils, architects, the sports governing bodies, particularly those that use council facilities. And we also more recently were invited to the all-party parliamentary group on women, and we were invited to talk to them. So next slide, please. And here I'm going to hand over to Faye, because Faye did a tremendous amount of work on our leisure centre report, which was published last year. So over to Faye.
Yeah, so as Jane was saying, on our street stalls, which we regularly were holding in our local area, a lot of women were coming up to us and saying, we really don't like our brand new swimming complex, this water park, because the changing rooms are no longer segregated into male and female. They're just wide open mixed sex spaces. And the worst thing about this local pool, which is 2 or 3 years old now, is that the cubicles, the partition walls between the cubicles are so inappropriate that the gaps allow men even to put their head underneath to view whoever is next door. So I do have a personal anecdote about that, and this happened to a 16-year-old girl when she was getting changed after her lifeguarding session. It was around 6 o'clock in the evening, and yeah, she looked down and she could actually see a man's face. So actually no need to put a camera underneath, which is most often what happens. You just pop your head underneath and you can see the young girl next door. So it's the whole idea of mixed sex changing rooms. Of course, the idea is that it's accessible for families, so that fathers can take their girls and mothers can take their young boys. And of course, that's really important. And that's not something that we're campaigning against at all. But through the work with the Leisure Centre report and the people that we've spoken to over the last year or so, what we're trying to say is, you know, that none of the risks are being mitigated. So, you know, in particular with the whole design, but of course, the safest changing room is a single sex changing room. But yes, this leisure centre report is what's started everything off, because of what we were hearing on the streets. And as Jane said, almost 1/3 of UK leisure centres have no single sex changing areas. And of course, that's changing all the time, because all new leisure centres now have village style changing rooms. and any refurbishments, that it is the same. And you have to fight incredibly hard if you want to change those plans, because it really is set in stone now, right from Sport England down to the architects. Next slide, please. The Swim England extraordinary meeting that was leaked in January this year was really quite horrific reading. So in January alone, Swim England, which is the national governing body for swimming, and they basically oversee competitions. And of course, most of these competitions involve children. But yeah, they had reports that just in January alone, 7 girls had been subjected to mobile phone voyeurism from the cubicle next door. That's 7 in 1 month. And they obviously tried, when they extrapolated that, they realised that this was a huge problem. They'd already had a campaign of keep it in your locker, referring to mobile phones. Well, it's clear it wasn't working at all. So they had this extraordinary meeting with all the safeguarding leads, and to basically show them all the statistics and try and work out the way forward. Well, we decided that we really wanted to speak to the CEO of Swim England, because actually he was the first person to introduce single sex or protect the female category in British triathlon. So he knows very well about safeguarding females and children. So we sat down with him and we talked to him about, you know, what they're going to do about this. We've also spoken to the various other people to just to try from the top down to get people to realise that this situation is actually completely out of control, and what are they going to do about it. So next slide, please. Well, these are some examples of our actions on the street. So we don't just sit behind the keyboard, we actually get out there and talk to people. So these are some of the pictures of our Red Flag campaign. I mean, it's been a brilliant summer of activity. Loads of our groups have taken up the challenge to make a red flag and even sew some lettering onto it, even though it might not be their most favourite activity to do in their spare time, but they've done it. It's been brilliant because it's such a visual signal, isn't it? That red flag, and it's been great in raising awareness. And I actually feel that you know, raising the awareness on this may even have prompted that police officer to turn around and say, hang on a minute, we've already got a lot of voyeurism in our swimming pool. What are you going to do about making it better, rather than designing in, you know, changing rooms and cubicles that are basically a voyeur's paradise. So yeah, so some street actions there from around the country, and yeah, we just want to keep the pressure on. So next slide, please. Jane, would you like to take over?
Yeah, I think we're back to me. So one of the other things that we did, and we're doing quite a lot of research that we can't actually talk about just yet, quite a lot of research into how many crimes are actually done. So we did a Google search of how many males, it's all males, I mean, women don't do this, how many males have been convicted of a sexual offence in a changing room. And we were quite specific. And then we put a red flag on the map of the UK for all of the crimes we could find. I mean, actually, this is an underestimate because we couldn't fit all the red flags on, and there were loads more in Scotland that we found after we did we did a YouTube video about it. So you can see it's actually nationwide, and it is actually worldwide, because we found out this week that Paris has had an epidemic of voyeurism and other sexual crimes in its swimming pools. And we put out a post yesterday on our X feed about it, if you want to read about it. It hasn't made this presentation. So it is nationwide, in fact, worldwide. Next slide, please. Oh, and then we had a wonderful boost from J.K. Rowling. So Faye, do you want to talk about this? Because this was linked to your article about that lovely lifeguard. Perhaps you can tell us.
Yeah, so one of our members actually told us this story about Alan, who was a lifeguard and at his local swimming pool, and he saw a man with long hair and pigtails wearing a bikini coming out of the female changing room, and was absolutely incensed. So yeah, he told me his story, and he agreed that we could publish it because you know, he really stood up for the women and girls in his changing room. I mean, his entire role was safeguarding, right? He's a lifeguard. He's all about safeguarding. All he could think about was the women and girls who were in the changing room with this man with pigtails wearing a bikini. But his managers didn't really want to know anything about it because the policy allows men to self-identify as women and therefore use the female changing rooms. So in their eyes, this guy was doing nothing wrong. In fact, Alan was even hauled up in front of the regional managers a couple of months later after complaining and told, you know, are you sure you saw this person? Why are you telling everybody about it? Basically, they weren't very happy. He left a while after that, but it was a sort of a planned exit, if you like. It wasn't because of this entirely, but yeah, he was absolutely happy to put his name to you know, highlighting this particular story. Now the policy has changed as a result of the amazing, incredible For Women Scotland and the Supreme Court ruling. So the swimming pool now recognises that they do have to filter who's going into the female changing room, and it should just be females. But we just really wanted to highlight and say thank you to Alan for standing up for women and girls, because it's an incredibly difficult thing to do, as he found out.
Next slide, please. Oh yes, and this is Rosie Duffield MP is probably very well known to our UK contingent, but she is an amazing MP who has stood up for women and girls' rights right throughout her career. And she is the chair of the All-Party Parliamentary Group for Women's Rights in the House of Commons, and invited us to talk about the Red Flag campaign to MPs. And we were joined by Olympian Sharon Davis, the swimmer, and Tracy Edwards, the round the world yachtswoman, and also Kathy Devine, who is a fantastic academic on sports science and social policy. So we had some real big names in the room, and it was fantastic to be able to tell people in power what's happening out there, because if you live and work in the Westminster bubble, I doubt you ever have to have access to this sort of thing. So that was a real highlight. Next slide, please. Oh, and that's Heather and me just taking advantage of the local sites, yeah, and actually chatted to a few tourists as well about what we were doing. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'm just going to apologise for putting these disgusting individuals on your screen, but if you can just bear with us. This is just going back to what do we do now? Obviously, the campaign is ongoing. All of the crimes that we recorded from our Google search were in mixed sex changing rooms, showers or toilets at public leisure centres and swimming pools. So we're currently doing a more formal research project on this. Next slide, please. We've also got the issue that there are 20 brand new leisure centres at least being planned and built around our country. The money's come from the Levelling Up Fund or from Sport England. So it's all taxpayers' money. So it's our money. The majority have been designed with mixed sex changing rooms as the standard option. And even the ones that are being refurbished are often changing from single sex to mixed sex, or retaining mixed sex changing rooms where they've already had issues, which is what we saw with the police officer that we mentioned before, that they previously had mixed sex and had problems. and we're going with the same thing. So a lot of the work that we're doing now, and we have our wonderful network of women all over the country, badgering their local councils, their local politicians, and it's a real sort of grassroots campaign, this, because this isn't something that you can do centrally. You need your women on the ground to go and stand outside leisure centres. And I'm going to give a big shout out to the women in the Northeast this morning who did a campaign outside their local leisure centre, and the staff panicked and called the police, and the police turned up and said, why are we here, type of thing. I mean, to get a police officer to come out in the UK at the moment is amazing. I mean, they didn't even tweet about it. So anyway, next slide, please. Oh yeah, so this is just what we will be doing, more of the same. And we really think that elections are just around the corner for us. I'm in Wales. We have our local and our Senate elections in 2026. There's by-elections, there's local elections all the time. And these issues need to be raised because it's our taxpayers' money. You know, we all pay taxes, and it's unfair for women and girls to be subjected to danger when they use facilities that they've paid for. Next slide, please. Oh, this is our final slide, and this is our mantra now. This is our sort of slogan. The safest changing room is a single-sex changing room, and that's what we live by, really, on this campaign. Yeah, and thank you for listening. And I don't know if there's time for questions, but we're happy to answer any. Faye, have you got anything else to add?
No, thank you very
Okay.
much. And it's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, thank you for listening to us.
Great. Well, I've joined. I've got quite a few questions. I mean, thank you so much for doing it. And I've talked to quite a lot of women who say that they're in WRN and they totally love it, and they love the local meetings because you have regular meetings in quite a lot of places, and it's their key lifeline. Can you tell us about that? Because there might be women here who'd like to come along to those.
Well, in Wales, where I am, I mean, I'm miles and miles and miles away from, you know, we're so spread out. So we started off doing a lot of Zooms, but now we've got more and more members. When I joined, there were only, I think, 20 members in Wales, and now there's over 100. So we can actually speak to each other and see each other. So it varies from social events, street actions. We have a big event in Wales in a couple of weeks' time where For Women Scotland and the lawyer in the Sandy Peggy case, I don't know if that's well known to everyone, are coming down to speak. So we have things like that. Faye, you're very active in Derbyshire, so tell everyone what you do, because it's amazing.
Oh, I love our group so much. We've got some amazing women in our group, and it's growing all the time. The best thing that I think we've done so far is we had a festival in May where we invited some panelists to come and speak. We had some brilliant talks from some amazing women, and yeah, we managed to fill our venue, which was quite nerve-wracking, but yeah, we did manage to fill the venue, and it was just really great for us all to get together and to have that event. But yeah, I definitely recommend hit the join us button on the website, and you'll be hooked up with your local group.
Yeah, I mean, definitely that's what I've heard from women I know who are involved. I'm so interested in this international stuff and just keeping some form of international networking going that I'm sticking with this, but I highly recommend everybody to join this. And then I heard that you were doing some international stuff. You've got some international women's rights network going, which is also great. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, we do. We have groups in the Netherlands, Canada,
yeah,
Australia, Afghanistan, of course. I think those are the only ones. I don't know how the international groups get started. I'm guessing that Heather's done some networking and met some people and encouraged them to start, but it's brilliant that the name is getting out there.
Yes, and
And
I
I,
was just mentioning
yeah.
Belgium as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I think, I mean, my reading of the feminist movement, the women's movement, is we often end up working like this, that we have quite a lot of different groups who are doing slightly different things. Maybe sometimes we're overlapping. We might agree on almost everything, but we're doing slightly different things, and that's the nature. We don't just form one big women's movement that is one organization. So it's really nice because women can find what they like and maybe be in a few groups, but sort of really get benefit from those. Got another question. Um, can you, oh, Jane, you were telling me about the Starmer, Keir Starmer writing
Oh.
rugby letter. Could you share that?
Okay, so on X this morning, Keir Starmer our Prime Minister, has the most hilarious social media feed. I mean, I don't know if you ever read it. It is completely, he must never ever look at it. Anyway, so this tweet came up today wishing the England rugby women good luck and the Red Roses, and he'd written a letter to the Red Roses. And in fact, I'm going to have to find what I wrote, but I thought, well, he can't get away with this because he was saying, oh, how they've had to struggle to get to the top against all the odds. I'm just going to quickly find what. So I do the Twitter. I probably shouldn't say this. I do the X feed for WRN Sport. So most of the sport tweets come from me. And when his tweet came up this morning, I just thought, no, no. So the first thing was he was talking about everybody having a level, boys and girls having a level playing field, and we wrote him a letter that's on our X feed now, saying, well, how can they have a level playing field when there are nearly 40 sports that still allow males into the female category? That's 40 sports in the UK. So one of the other things we do on sport is we have this list of fair sports on our website that we started it in 2023. It's called the Fair Sports Awards. When we started, only 6 sports had a protected female category, i.e. no males in the female category. And it's gradually got better and better and better. So as of middle of August, I think was the last time we updated it. Do you know, the numbers have gone straight out my head, but it was better than 6. I think it was about 20 now protect the female category. Another 20 or so haven't made their mind up yet because they're waiting for some guidance. And then the rest are frankly unlawful under the law. Anyway, so I sort of pointed this out to Sir Keir, who'll never read it. And then he was talking about something else about equality. And I said, well, how can you have equality when things like park run and the grassroots sports aren't equal? You know, you still allow males, and you know, things like the London Marathon, where they protect the elite category for women, but everybody else below elite, all the women, they allow men into the category. And so I sort of mentioned that. And then the other thing was, well, how are you going to encourage girls into sport if they come into a mixed sex changing room and, you know, get flashed at or whatever, you know, get sexually assaulted? So I didn't put it in those words. Anyway, it was my little fight back, and Heather approved the tweet. So I thought, right, excellent,
Brilliant.
I'll send that.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Sorry.
That's really, thank you for telling us about it. Thank you for all the work you've done and coming and sharing it.
Thank
And
you.
we'll continue to share and, you know, suggest everybody or lots of people will enjoy joining WRN. It sounds like
Definitely.
apart from being incredibly effective, it's also quite fun. Particularly this red flag campaign, I think looks just great. Like really must be nice being involved and going out and doing those actions. So okay, well, we'll get you on at the end. We'll go to our next speaker now and then see if and you might see questions in the Q&A that you can answer. So our next speaker is Kate Barker. She is the Chief Executive of LGB Alliance and is going to give us a talk to us. Now you're going to have to tell me what you're going to talk to us about, but
Well,
thank you so much for coming.
I will tell
And
you.
over to you.
I mean, I'm going to talk about a project in the workplace, but just given where we are, I just thought I'd do a quick shout out to the fact that we launched LGB International this weekend, which is it's a federated body. 18 different countries have come together to kind of declare our independence from the TQ plus, and it went an absolute storm. Our little video that we made on our phones had 12 million views, and it feels like there's been a kind of global sigh of relief that you know, there's a gay organisation actually trying to tackle this scourge of gender ideology effectively. But anyway, I'm really going to talk about a project connected to the workplace. So we feel that men who like to pretend to be women have been having a bit of a field day in the workplace over the last 15 years, and particularly over the last 10 years. LGB Alliance was formed in 2019, and we became a charity in 2021. And right from the get-go, from the first day when we were live, we were flooded with emails from lesbians in particular, absolutely distraught and dismayed by how their working lives were changed by gender identity ideology. They were really distressed about what was happening, and it wasn't just the fact that lesbians are being discriminated against and that there was a sense they were being erased. It was the fact that this discrimination wasn't just tolerated in organisations, it seemed to be mandated. And I can give you a typical example. So we were contacted by a lesbian who worked at a really large organisation, a huge charity with lots of branches around the country. And she had been running her staff LGB network as a volunteer for many years. And it was a big and successful network. Lots of people were involved. And then a heterosexual married father, cross-dressing man, decided that he would like to join the network as well. And she tried to be accommodating, despite the fact there was a separate trans and non-binary network. But he insisted that it be changed to an LGBTQ plus network, because just having an LGB network was considered in and of itself to be offensive and transphobic. So then the woman who was running this raised some very mild objections, pointing out maybe that he and an actual lesbian were not exactly the same thing, and might deserve different and separate support. She was then called into senior management and to HR and given an informal warning about transphobia, and told that it would be escalated if she couldn't be a bit more kind to the man in the dress. Now, the backdrop to this situation, and this is what we find a lot, is that the CEO of the organisation has a trans child, and you know what she was doing was sending all staff emails about the organisation being progressive, about being trans inclusive, and very much implying that if you were not progressive and trans inclusive, you were hurting her child. I've seen some of the emails. They're extraordinarily personal in tone and extremely coercive. And senior people within businesses are setting a kind of a culture from which there's no space for people who believe that sex is real, sex is binary, that a lesbian is a woman who's exclusively attracted to another woman, you know, and people felt that they were being squeezed out. So the women tried to stick with this, with the, you know, she'd been involved with this network for a long time and had made a lot of friends, until such point as a whole slew of kind of non-binary, I'm sorry about all the air quotes, but there's going to be quite a lot of that here, non-binary people insisting on joining as well. And so she noticed that the lesbians and the gay men were just fleeing. And in fact, they sent out, her last act as being part of that staff network was to send out emails to all the members and say who wants to be on, you know, take various positions on the committee. She would normally have expected to have received about 100 replies. She got 6 replies, and every single one of them was from a trans-identified male or a man claiming a non-binary status. And that's what's happened. All those hundreds of lesbians that had used that staff network as a great way to make friends, make sure that our rights were maintained, just sort of flee and are expected to scuttle away into the woodwork. And that's what's really been happening. And this follows clearly a 15-year campaign by Stonewall and by other trans lobby organisations like Gender Intelligence to misrepresent the law in workplaces, to imply effectively that any man who says he's a woman quite literally is a woman. I mean, it's hard to believe that that's the point that they arrived at, but the impact of that has been profound. And then underneath that, an industry of equity, diversity and inclusion consultants has grown exponentially. They've moved into organisations and grabbed an enormous amount of power. They've got power over HR departments and they've got power over boards, and that's where change happens in organisations. So we wanted to LGB Alliance. We wanted to counter that. We wanted to do a bit more than simply shut Stonewall down. We did want to shut Stonewall down. We do want to, and we're pleased that it seems to be in decline. But we didn't just want to attack them, and because we know that as soon as Stonewall does fall, there'll be a ton of other organisations who are just as bad, if not worse, waiting in the wings to sort of swoop in and step into their place if there's a vacuum. So we decided we wanted to create some kind of alternative to Stonewall within our organisation. We also what we didn't want to do was come up with a new version of their diversity champions scheme, where businesses get points or they're ranked on their adherence to a particular set of views or dogma, even if those views did align to ours, because we don't think that's a particularly healthy way to proceed. So we launched a really significant piece of research to find out what lesbians, gay men and bisexuals actually who were working in large organisations that had EDI in place, what they actually wanted from us. And of course, the backdrop to this is the Supreme Court ruling that clarified under the Equality Act 2010, sex and sexual orientations based on biological sex, even though workplace policies and particularly staff networks are based on the idea that, or the premise of the LGBTQ plus lobby, that we are who we say we are. So our survey, we asked supporters of LGB Alliance to respond to a survey, and we got a little bit of flack from that, but because people would say, well, your supporters are bound to agree with you. However, at the moment, because of the corruption of data and the way data around sex is collected, there currently is no list of lesbians or gay men that you can really interrogate, because data now is collected on the basis of LGBTQ plus. People who identify as a lesbian, i.e. a man, could also be on that list of lesbians. So we had no choice but to poll people who we knew were lesbians and gay men in the way that it's commonly understood by all reasonable people. And the headline findings were, so I've got a few numbers. So 82% of LGB people said that the LGBTQ plus staff network was dominated by activists, and a quote was, "Activists rule the roost. They are very loud, aggressive and intimidating," which was unsurprising. 77% said that the training they received misstated the law. It was unlawful. And a quote was, "A people advisor corrected me when I stated sex was a protected characteristic, saying it was gender." And this is something we come across time and time again, just really poor understanding of the law, even an understanding of what the 9 protected characteristics are under the Equality Act. This is a professional who makes their living going into big organisations and talking to them about the law, and they believe that gender is one of the 9 protected characteristics. It's really striking how ignorant a lot of these people are. 65% said they were pressured to affirm views on sex and gender they knew to be false. And this is a quote that kind of made me really sort of struck me when I read it. A woman said, "I am expected to accept the male lesbian to keep my job. It makes me very unwell." And I thought that was an absolutely terrible thing to read, especially when you realise it's happening in organisations big and small up and down the country. How many lesbians are, having to suffer this indignity, this insult at their place of work in a way that's mandated by the organisation. So it's absolutely horrific. And the largest figure was at 90%, when 90% said their leadership team were not aware that LGB and TQ plus staff had different needs. Somebody said, "My line manager sent me materials including the word queer. When I protested the use of the word, the head of HR stated he'd had to let 4 people go because they said they were 2 sexes." I really, I hope this survey was taken at around the time of the Supreme Court ruling, and I hope the messages from that are really beginning to sink in with businesses. I know they're dragging their feet, but it's really horrific to have to think of lesbians in their workplace having to put up with this. People say to be included in anything EDI, one has to be affirming, and the Rainbow Staff Group is only welcoming if you sign up to the trans agenda. Senior management gave 0 backing when I faced hostility. So we took all the data that we got from that and a number of in-depth surveys that we carried out, and we created a report called Compelled Conformity, which we wanted to use as a tool to connect with business leaders, the people who are setting the culture, who are not necessarily driving the agenda, they're more being driven by it, but we wanted to give them the tools to be able to recognise that was happening and to push back a bit. And I think we should acknowledge that many leaders have watched in absolute horror as gender identity ideology has corrupted their organisation from the inside and left them feeling absolutely at the mercy of some of their craziest, angriest men ever to have thrown their weight around inside a corporate environment. And people are frightened of trans activists, even within business, because they are angry and unpredictable, and people find it easier to say yes than to say no. So we wanted our report to give them the tools to say no and to explain why it was a good thing for business. We feel, we looked at it through the sort of gay rights lens. Gay rights succeeded in part, I think, because we never expected anybody to have to give up anything in order for us to achieve parity. And in our survey, it was interesting that 94% of our respondents agreed that all 9 protected characteristics should be looked at equally. Now, we're often accused of being a bunch of transphobes, so actually I think that number might have surprised a few people. Only 3% of people said no, they shouldn't all be considered equally. But what's coming out of it is a desire not for inclusivity but fairness. What people want is fairness at work. That's much easier to judge. So our conclusions in the report, we made a number of recommendations to businesses, which were about the key recommendations were follow the law, be lawful. It's as simple as that. Don't conflate different groups. Take the time to understand the difference between sexual orientation and gender reassignment, and this should be reflected in policies and training. We said, remember, there are 9 protected characteristics and they all matter equally. We're not looking to be at the top of the oppression pyramid with gay rights. We simply want parity, but for us and for others. Remember that EDI is not about conformity, it's about accommodating genuine needs and respecting legal protections. And effective management requires courage. And we've started now meeting with some of the HR leads in some of the UK's really big businesses, and we've had a great response. And I have to say that very much like the Supreme Court, where I feel the lesbian interveners, I was in court watching the arguments be put, and I saw the judges hear the Scottish government argue that if a man got a piece of paper, he could be a lesbian, but if he didn't have the piece of paper, he couldn't be a lesbian. And I saw them interrogate that idea, and I saw them understanding how absurd it was. So whilst, of course, all plaudits and go to For Women Scotland, who were absolutely amazing, I really do believe that it was the lesbians that got it over the line, because they just couldn't believe the absurdity of what they were hearing. And similarly with the Business Forum, when we go into a business and explain to them that a lesbian is told to accept some big hulking galumphing great married bloke, that he is a lesbian as well, for some people that is just the final straw. They can really see how ridiculous it is, and we are not afraid to weaponize that at all if it helps with rights for lesbians and rights for women, because we need them and we deserve them. Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Kate. That's I can't see any questions. So if anybody has a question for Kate, put it into the chat or the Q&A. But one thing that I think is so massively encouraging is the growth, the really quick, reasonably quick in the last few years growth of LGB Alliance. And it seems as if people, whilst they might not always be able to take on their HR team in their workplaces, they're voting with their feet and internationally to join the LGB Alliance, who've got, you know, making incredibly clear positions. Could you tell us some of the countries that, just to encourage us,
Yeah.
that have these new LGB Alliance groups? Because it really, well, it's just very cheering.
Yeah, it's great. I think it's quite interesting as well that we are sort of the leadership team anyway of LGB Alliance, and the original people were kind of an older demographic, and that's, I think, because we had a bit less to lose really than a lot of young people. But it's very interesting that in the international people are all are quite young. So we've got Portugal, France, Brazil, the US, Canada, Australia, Switzerland, Ireland, some other European countries. And we've actually had our first application for membership from the Democratic Republic of Congo. So that's really interesting, because we're most interested in at this point in the countries where homosexuality is still illegal. Because there's a kind of a double whammy going on, because if you know, for very many people, it's still illegal to be homosexual male. And in the countries where it is legal, it's considered bigoted and transphobic if you assert your same-sex attraction. So it's kind of a crazy pincer movement that's happening. Yeah, and I think the reason for the growth is I think it's reached a tipping point in terms of people simply being able to think that they can, for gay people, just to think they can just get along with, you know, the handful of trans people that might be in social settings, because they've become increasingly coercive, angry, and actually openly homophobic. There was always a thread of homophobia running through everything. But now if you disagree with a trans activist, they're calling the men faggots, and, you know, and it's been hastened by the demise of TQ+ will be hastened by letting them speak, as always, you know. Yeah. So their calls to be platformed more often probably wasn't a great strategy for them. They should have stuck to no debate, and they might have slipped under the radar a bit more.
Yeah. How about conference? You've had fantastic conferences, which are amazing networking opportunities, and for the movement, they just encourage everybody. What about that? Are you having more conferences?
Yes.
And yeah,
Yeah,
when's the
we're
next
not
one?
having, usually we have it in October, and we decided not to this year because there's so many other things going on that we are committed to, whether we're speaking or, at party conferences and Filia and things like that. And it was just crazy through October. So we decided to have a spring one instead. So it's on April the 18th. Tickets are going to go on sale in a couple of weeks. There are concession tickets for people that, can't afford the full price. And I think this year it's going to be, we're daring to celebrate slightly the gains that we've made. We're not going to be complacent about things, but there is a real sense that things are improving. One of the really exciting things for us is we have a network of friends groups, a bit like WRN, and people love it. They go along to, they're social groups mainly. There's a little bit of activism. Some of the groups are more into that, but others just like to go to the pub or go for walks or whatever. And there's been, and again, they were older people, mainly older lesbians, but we've got kind of a trickle of men coming through now. But more interestingly, lots of young people, lots of under 25s, 18 to 25 we've seen a big rise in those numbers. And I just wonder whether it's become a bit unfashionable to be non-binary and trans and
Yeah, I mean, I also think that if you're coming out as a lesbian, what you would do is look on social media and see where you can go, where the groups are, what clubs to go to, and if you're young, you would want to go to a reasonably young group. I had a look about 2 years ago to see what was on offer. I think there was a friend's daughter wanted to go or something like that, and in my area, every single thing that was possible to go to for any age group was all LGBTQ plus, everything. So there was nothing available. And it used to be, in the 80s or 90s, there'd just be loads of things to go to. There'd be all sorts
yeah.
of lesbian walking groups. And I suppose there are a few things available, but that's brilliant now that hopefully young people, because they do actually want to meet, well, lesbians want to meet other lesbians. They
Yeah.
actually, and they do know the difference, I think.
Yeah, no, yes, totally. So I'm really hoping that next year that network will continue to grow. It was slow getting off the ground, but suddenly last year it started to really gain a bit of momentum, and people absolutely love it. And I try to go to London ones whenever I can. I think we've got four groups in London. And sometimes a bit further afield, and sometimes we do joint action. So we were actually up with WRN in Derbyshire for doing a little action around Belper Pride, and actually the two groups, the alignment across there was fantastic. We were really able to support each other. So I'm always looking for more places to collaborate as well,
Yeah.
wherever I can. Because like you, I just think it's so valuable.
I mean, it's so important. And then the other question I have is, are there any workplace groups are there workplace groups where it's just LGB, the LGB group, or are they still all TQ and TQ plus altogether?
Well, we're kind of working on it. I mean, and that's one of the things that we're talking to organisations about having a separate staff group for each protected characteristic. And when you ask them, why is LGB the only one that may not meet alone, that must be attached to another protected characteristic? They often really haven't thought about it before. It's
Brilliant.
kind of been
Yeah.
peripheral to their interests. So, and then they're saying yes. It's just, I think we just have to have these discussions and these arguments in really simple terms over and over and over again with as many people as we can.
That's fantastic. That's really encouraging. That's a brilliant question. So everybody ask in your workplace, or I don't know if you can, why do they have to be together? Why can the sexuality not be on its own? Why does it have to be with another characteristic?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we know the answer, but
Yeah.
it's good to ask them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, look, let's go on to our next speaker, who's Bano, and then we'll come back to you. If you want to ask a question to Kate, put it in the Q&A. Oh, there are two in the Q&A. Maybe, Kate, would you be able to yes, answer the question in the Q&A and anything in the thing? Okay,
Yeah.
so we're going to go to Yal now, and I think Yal can't show her video, so so we'll get Yal on, and I think maybe Bernadette might be able to get a picture, an image instead of Yal. But Yal, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you.
Brilliant. Okay, well, let's unfortunately just look at me while we're talking. So how are you doing, Yal?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. Thank you for opportunity to talk about Afghan women.
Yeah, and you've been talked to us quite a few times, and if you tell us what you want to tell us, and then if we have questions, I'll pose those questions. So over to you, Yal.
Thank you so much. Hello, Joe and everyone. Today I am presenting a report from a country in which women don't have access to their essential right of education, work, or freedom of movement for more than 4 years. Before update about women's situation, I would like to tell you who am I. I am Bano, a woman activist from Afghanistan who left 2 years under the direct threat of Taliban, and I fled from Afghanistan at 2024. The Taliban actively search for all who work or talk against them, and it is very easy for the Taliban to kill those groups who work against them or talk against them. Because of me, my siblings, my parents, all were under the threat of the Taliban, and we were not safe. But I couldn't stop because the Taliban are lying and they just fight for power. But we in hiding, fighting for our own life, right, and also for the life of other Afghan women. For the first 3 months of Taliban control in Afghanistan, I was totally disappointed and shocked due to I was faced with unbelievable situation. I saw my all 17 years of study and all of my dreams for bright future of me and others are destroyed in just one night. Uh, for the mentioned 3 months, I had to fight with my own every day. Why I faced with this situation, which I hoped for bright future for everyone, but everything ended. Every day I cried and looked. I had very high depression. I was fully with negative thought, like a person who doesn't have hope and reason for live anymore. And I didn't have any interest to study or see my books. Sometimes I told to myself, why should I study if there is no hope for me? And I was just like a prisoner inside home. I was very weak and sick, and even because I was not eating better, and because of depression during the mentioned month, I lost my weight. And my parents were very worried, and they thought maybe I have cancer, which I lost my weight very fast. My parents were very scary, and they took me to doctor. When doctor checked, doctor said no cancer, but if the situation continued, you may face with very bad situation. My parents told to doctor about me, which my daughter was very intelligent among all boys and girls in our relatives. After school, with high mark of university exam, she entered to university, and she was the only girls in her class at university. And finally, she finished university with great grade. and she was full of positive energy and example to other girls, and she thought about all and had dreams to see a smile and education power to every girls of Afghanistan. But nowadays she is totally lost and disappointed. Even she can't think about herself. When the doctor heard my story from my parents and compare it with my current situation, the doctor cried and didn't say anything for some minutes. The doctor answered to my parents that your daughter is struggling with shock and depression, and we will help her to be fine. After when I get better with positive word and motivation method, the doctor told me, as educated member of society, you are responsible to help other which see you, which see to you, and you should give them positive energy, moral, and hope for living. Finally, after I get better, I find hope that I should be alive, strong and motivated like a previous time, just because of my parents, siblings, and my country women and girls. The situation was very complicated, so via internet I start searching to find ways how to help women and girls in Afghanistan, and to raise my voice for Afghan women. Fortunately, the result of search was great, and I met more hero and bravest woman around world. And he told me and showed me that I am not alone. First, I had contact with Wolf, and Wolf introduced me with WDI, and today we have WDI Afghanistan. And also, I had talk with Women Right Network. That is why today we have Run Afghanistan. I remember that was very cold and a cold winter time, and also very scary situation, because Taliban was searching home to home. So every time I reset my phone history and I delete every all email and everything related, just because of safety. And now WDI Afghanistan or RAN or like a path between Afghan women and the world. We as an Afghan woman can raise our voices to world for action. In WDI Afghanistan, we sharing news and update from inside Afghanistan, from our students and women in that they are in our with us in contact. And we are with 1,113 women in contact, and they live inside Afghanistan in different and even in remote area of Afghanistan, and they sharing reports and news every minute with us. And they have, some of the women, they have access to a WDI account, Twitter account, and they share the news from their every area every minute. Even since the Taliban control in Afghanistan in such a hopeless situation, in which which school was closed for female students, we still continue to fight with secret online schooling. Wake up from sleep at 2 a.m. or 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. is not easy. But when I see this is hope, and this is hope for women, this is hope for Afghan girls, it become more easier for me. Currently we have 113 students busy in online schooling, and they are learning in high school, and seven of our students is busy with university. In our program, more women that they are not from Afghanistan, they are from different country around the world. They are helping Afghan women also with English language and also programming, computer programming language. I would like to say thank you to every one of them that they want to get the power of education to Afghan women. And also we are helping women with mental health, as we had a lot of reports from our students, and that women are killing themselves because of restrictions, the violence in their home. We just started the mental health program for them, and they are very happy to talk and just to give them energy and positive energy for a future, like a hope. And also we helping families that they need emergency food. What we do for girls and women in Afghanistan are friendly humanitarian work. We don't want to become famous. We don't want to make profit. We just want to help each other together, make positive change. Our work is totally private, hidden, and friendly inside our home. We are connecting with via internet, and it is very safe way to all of us to be continue and continue the program. In general, I decided to change myself and fight for my own right and other right, and no matter where am I, if I am in home, if I am in out of home. In Afghanistan, if a woman asks about their own right, the answer will be beating, arresting, or killing. Today, I am raising my voice for women and girls from a country in which the Ministry of Higher Education said those who write, talk against the Taliban or resist deserve to be murdered. This includes both online and offline criticism of their regime. Taliban actively search every single home, even searching the phone, laptop, and all private things to find who is working against them. If yes, they will arrest, beat, or kill them. But no one have the right to complain. But today, Afghan women strongly believe that educated mother build a strong nation, and they are stronger than Taliban restriction. And Afghan women are not afraid. Afghan women get stronger day by day, and they raise their voices against Taliban to demand their own essential right of education, work, and freedom of movement. Today, I am here to tell you that there is no human right and no woman right in Afghanistan under the Taliban control. In Afghanistan, women are faced like Afghan women don't they face with trauma. Afghan women face with poverty and health care. They are imprisoned in their home. Women are denied to protest about their own right. Some women are stoned to be dead. By blocking Afghan women by becoming doctor or ban them to go to male doctor, the Taliban are just basically telling Afghan women to suffer and die. Because Afghan women cannot go to school to learn and become doctor, and also they cannot go to male doctor. The Taliban just tell to Afghan women die and don't talk and be silent. And even the last earthquake happened in Afghanistan, Afghan women and girls were even not pulled out of the earthquake rubble in Afghanistan because men can't touch the woman, and also in Afghanistan was not enough doctor to treat them, so lots of women they died under the rebel in Afghanistan. Now the Taliban even they banned the Wi-Fi internet, which is and they are every day adding restriction. At the last recent restriction, the Taliban just banned all book that they were written by women, and also now they are starting to erase the picture of the woman from the textbooks, and it looks the all war of the Taliban is on women. I have one message from my student that my student said that please share my message. She said we don't have electricity, we don't have access to school, we don't have freedom, we don't have right to work. Now the Taliban ban the internet for us. This feels like the end of line. Please help us. Please don't stay silent. And despite of that all, uh, Afghan women are not giving up, but Afghan women are running out of option. The world must act. before the last light of hope get off. So WDI Afghanistan is such a powerful voice for Afghan women around the world. And Taliban is afraid of WDI Afghanistan because we share news from inside Afghanistan, from very remote area of Afghanistan. And our students and women, as they have access to Twitter account of the WDI Afghanistan, they share the news and update every minute for the world. Taliban. So we had a previous account from WDI Afghanistan, but Taliban or everyone, they are against women. They suspend our account just to silence Afghan woman voice. But they don't know that Afghan women are not silent. Even if they suspend 100,000 accounts, we will again create new account and we will continue to raise our voices around the world to share this is our situation just for action till time we have again our own right of education, work and freedom of movement. The reason that our previous account was suspended, there is not a clear reason why that was suspended, but here is something maybe that's related. First, the Taliban was writing for us a lot of trade, and they will report us a lot, and he was writing that you all are writing propaganda. Afghan women are very happy in Afghanistan and they don't have any problem. So our answer to them was like, please tell us at least three right fact that's in Afghanistan. If we share propaganda, please open the door of a school for Afghan girls. If you all do this, all we will not write anymore about Taliban. And also the second reason, some was writing why WDI Afghanistan is not talking about Gaza. Why WDI Afghanistan is just talking about Afghanistan, and our answer to them was with very respect, the WDI Afghanistan pages about Afghan women, and we raising our voice for Afghan women. We respect Gaza women, and we want freedom for them also. But this page is for Afghan people, not for Gaza. You can have your own page and talk about Gaza. And also, some was talking that WDI Afghanistan anti-Muslim, that talking against Muslim. To tell you very clear, I am Bano. I am from Afghanistan. I am Muslim. I am not like with other religions. I am Muslim. I just write that is wrong. I don't want to say, I don't want to support wrong. I want to write everything is, I write everything is wrong, even if that is Muslim. It is not like because Taliban is Muslim, I ignore and hide everything from them. No, I write everything is wrong. So WDI Afghanistan is not like against Muslim, just that is to fight about Afghan women and write the right, the fact, the true that is on about Afghanistan. So also some was writing that the why you all are sharing the Afghan woman picture or video in WDI Afghanistan. And my answer to them was that we Afghan women are our sisters. We know that their safety is very important, so we know to not share their image. The one image that the person was talking about, I told them that this image was I shared this image because this was shared by the woman, by the woman permission in the international TV. So I just the picture is from that. We don't share our sister pictures in the internet because we know the situation, and we are caring about their safety a lot. And also the more question was like why the GoFund money go to South Carolina. why this not go to Afghanistan, why this not go to Gaza, this is not go to Afghanistan. The people in the person that is in South Carolina, they used all money to herself. So when I from the first time when I received every question, I respond with very respect, with very patient, but everything have limit. I saw I'm like out of limit. I was very angry. Why these all people like asking like this? So why they don't ask how we can help to continue the education program be very better? How we can help? Or when you wake up like 2 a.m. or 5 a.m. or 4 a.m., that is how we can be volunteer like to help you, or just to be everything nice. And Afghan girl have like access to education, but no, they were just telling that why the GoFund money go to South America, not go to Afghanistan. So when I was very angry, I just told them that this to the person they had this question. I just told them this answer is specific to you. It means not to others, just specific to that person. I just told them that I use this all money to my own self. I go restaurant, I buy clothes, and that's hope you get your answer. And I said them this was answer for you, because I was very sad. So I think this the all reason I told, maybe one of this was the reason they used my own word against me, and they suspend the previous account of WDI Afghanistan. But when I saw account suspend, just 1 hour later, I saw a fake account. The fake account, and in the bio was writing that was this is new account from WDI Afghanistan. Follow us. I that was very sad and angry for me, that when I saw the fake account. So I just thank you so much for Sonia, when she's journalist. So I had like text with her. I just write with her, and with my personal account. I just said her that our account is suspended, but I just saw a fake account. Please share that. So she started to share, and then after that, like every thank you so much to everyone that share the page, to just share the woman voice again to around the world. So finally, we have again the new page, and everything good, and we are stronger than before, and we are sharing more news, accurate, true, and fact that is about Afghan woman from Afghanistan. And we helping students more to learn. Currently, like Wi-Fi is banned in Afghanistan, but because we send internet to students via Ding app, DING, Ding app, to their phone as a phone data, so our student can join to class. They have some problem with internet, sometimes it's slow, but they can join to their class. Our students is strongly continue their study. A woman or continue to resist, protest, and hide, and share their voice. Like tomorrow, Sunday, 12 women from Afghanistan will have a talk in Google Meet, and the Google Meet was private. Like we share that private in every email. So tomorrow, 12 women will talk. It means Afghan women are not silent, and we are strongly going will continue. And Taliban or everyone, they are against Afghan women, they will not silent us. At the end, I would like to say thank you to everyone, and that you are supporting Afghan women, sharing Afghan women, and you all are with us. uh, I would like to say thank you, and please please continue to support us. Please continue to support online education, because that's the only hope for Afghan women. And also, some was like telling that why J.K. Rowling is retweeting the writing from WDI Afghanistan Twitter to her page. Why she is not tweeting the Gaza? So this all was the reason that the previous page was suspended. But now we have new page. But we will continue. And thank you so much to everyone. Thank you so much, dear Joe and WDI and Ran and everyone that you all are raising, sharing Afghan woman voice to world. Please still continue, and please stay with us till time we have freedom and hope for freedom for all women around the world. At the end, I would like to end my talking and say, woman, life, freedom. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yal. I mean, that's just fantastic. You're so inspiring. I'll see if we can get Kate on. Kate's there as well, so we'll add you in, and I think see if we can get Jane on as well, because we could see you and we could just have a roundup chat. I just want to say, from WDI's perspective, we have known Yal for a long time. We trust her. And when the issue came up with the attacks on her on social media and the fake accounts, because of this brilliant international sisterhood we've built over years, and there are many of us who have different contacts internationally, we're starting to build a network of trust, which, you know, we also have with our sister organizations or our co-organizations, Kate, LGB Alliance and WRN, that and with Yal, that we did what we could to support her, and then women here like Sonia and many people really supported Yal when there was sort of she was being really attacked, and said people were saying, oh, she's not giving the money to Afghanistan, she's just using it. And then this sort of difficult situation of having said one thing that was sarcastic, saying, oh, I'm just using the money for myself, has been used against her so much. But because we know you, Yal, and we've worked with you for many years, and we know the good work you've been doing, we were able to support you. So I suppose that's really good practice. And I suppose I want to say from WDI, thank you for collaborating with us, because many people have rejected us because we're critical of gender identity ideology. So it's really an honor that you think our organization, WDI, and, you know, Women's Rights Network, that you're all linked up to as well, can, you know, you're happy to work with us, which is good. It's a horrific, overwhelming situation that you're in Afghanistan, and thank you so much for continuing the brilliant, brave work you're doing, and then also for sharing it widely with the world in such a sort of careful and effective way. Anybody who can possibly give money to Yal, do. We trust her, we give money to her, and many other people have, and we're really happy that this is a safe thing to do. And just so you know, we have had quite a few people trying to ask us to give them money, but we wouldn't recommend them. We really check people out and get to know people. So I think that's part of what we're trying to do with these international sisterhoods, is build trust so we can be effective, and that's not always easy. So thank you so much. I'm going to hand over now to Jane, and then to Kate for a final words, and then back to Yal for some final words, because we're coming to the end. So Jane, have you got any questions you want to answer, or anything you want to say? Or
really just thank you everyone for listening, and also to say that it is quite daunting doing these street actions when you start, and I was thinking after we spoke earlier that actually it is hard, you know, your first street action when you have to speak to a real live member of the public who you don't know what they're going to be like. But over the years, we've found that actually most people agree with what we're doing, and we get the odd person who shouts at us on the street or you know, says something horrible, but the vast majority want women and girls to be safe. They want their daughters, their wives, their granny, you know, they want us to be able to go swimming and be safe. So what I would say is please consider joining WRM, because it is a fantastic network and it is local, and I have found so many friends, or made so many friends, from women in all walks of life who I'd have never have met through my work or other things that I've done. So I've really loved getting to know people from all sorts of backgrounds and experiences, and I've made some friends for life through it. So it's not just about the campaigning, it's about the camaraderie and the meeting women of, you know, of like mind, really. So that's all really. It's and I really enjoyed coming on, and thanks for listening to us.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Let's go back to Kate, see if there's any questions to answer or anything else you want to say.
Yeah, no, do you know, I'm going to echo exactly what Jane has. You said everything that I was thinking, which is it's so brilliant to network, to make friends with people in real life, and that everybody, when you talk to them, agrees with us. You know, we're right, and I think we just need to remind ourselves of that sometimes when it gets really tough, and that we are right, we are winning the battle, and you know, as long as we collaborate and stick together, we will prevail.
Great. Thank you so much, Kate. And Yael, have you got anything else you'd like to add?
I saw it's nothing like more, but thank you so much for all your nice writing. read it all. Just to be connected with Afghan woman, WDI is just like a door. Knock the door, you will hear direct from Afghan woman. So you can, you please just follow WDI Afghanistan Twitter, and also you can see the email address in the bio. If you have every kind of question, please ask. We can talk hours and hours and hours, and you can ask every kind of question. Just thank you so much for your solidarity, and this is everything for us, and Afghan women are very happy with you all.
Thank you so much. That's brilliant. It's really, really good. And we'll continue to collaborate, and hopefully people will really continue that sending support and being in touch. So I'd like to say thank you to everybody for coming. Some of us are going to go and watch the end of the UK, the rugby Women's World Cup, which is very good. I'd like to thank the WDI team for the webinars, which is Bernadette O'Malley on tech, Sheila Jeffries and me doing the planning for the moment. If anybody else wants to get involved in helping do the organisation of FQT, get in touch, info@womensdeclaration.com, or indeed any other things. And I'd really like to thank Jane Sullivan and Faye
McGinty.
Faye McGinty, Kate Barker and Yael Bano, and everybody for being here today. So see you next week or soon.